Yeah, so we hear all the time that we should regulate marijuana like alcohol. There's actually some congressional legislation that's titled Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. That can sound great depending where you live. But for myself and people that live in neighborhoods like mine, where when I walk out the front door of my house, the closest store that I'm gonna hit in any direction from my house is a liquor store, regulating marijuana like alcohol doesn't sound like such a great thing. And that's how I really got involved in this. I tell people if I go a little past that liquor store, maybe to a convenience store, the store is so plastered with advertisements for Newport, for alcohol, for the lottery. I can't even see inside the windows of that store. And the reality of marijuana legalization and commercialization is that it's gonna do the exact same thing. And people say we're gonna regulate it like alcohol. Well, if we do, that's gonna have a negative impact on communities of color, on disenfranchised communities that are least able to support the burden of an addictive industry, of an industry that makes the majority of their money off of people that are heavy users and addicts. And that's what we have with alcohol and tobacco, where roughly about 80% of their revenue comes from 20% of the users. That's the heavy users and the addicts. And so I don't want to see a third industry that does that. Our campaign in DC was called Two Is Enough. That's just referring to alcohol and tobacco, in that we've already seen what they've done. We've seen how they've particularly targeted communities of color. There's a study out of Hopkins, Dr. John Levis, that showed that in Baltimore, 8 times as many liquor stores in communities of color as other communities, and that has a negative health impact. And my question is, why would we want to repeat mistakes of the past?